Mm. Hello, so my name is Makai Perkins, and today I'm going to be making a video on my final project for programming with C. We're going to talk about what issues I ran into when implementing my pseudocode. Overall, I think the pseudocode went really smoothly. Um, I did not have a ton of issues, but a few pretty big ones. So first thing I ran into is when I was building and printing matrix B, I realized I don't need new variables X and Y. I can continue using I and J due to the nature of loops. Since those variables are only being accessed and updated within those loops, I can use them in both loops. And then uh, everything else went pretty smoothly up until I started printing the matrices. I needed a lot of trial and error to get them to print in the way that our output says it needs to print. Lots of problems with my little line and spacing. That was just trial and error to fix, though. And then I realized halfway through the project that my pseudocode did not include any data validation. If for parts A and B, if there was a dimensional mismatch, it just cut off. So I fixed that by implementing a while loop. So I fixed that by implementing a while loop. You'll see here, while 1, we print all of our things, and if the row doesn't, it breaks. And by doing that, it auto loops to fix my data validation. And then that's that for my pseudocode for part D. The major issue I ran into here was for building matrix B, since it's a 1 by 3, I actually don't need to have this double for loop. I'm only updating one row. Therefore, I don't need the double loop. So it looks something like this. Yep. So we're building matrix B. I took out that double loop. It's just the one prompt to type in the row data as it goes through. And then I obviously have something very similar in the print statement. And then I also realized, if you'll notice in part D, I go from user prompting to building and then straight to creating the new matrices and doing the variables. I did forget to print the matrices before I started using, or before I started determining the determinants, which does not match the required output of the assignment details. But that was another quick thing to fix. I simply copy pasted over what I had done in the previous parts. Overall, my pseudocode worked really well, I feel. There was not a ton that I needed to change. It was mostly adding things or tweaking things that I'd overlooked. And I mentioned last video that I might implement the AI pseudocode like nesting format for the determinant. I did not end up doing that. My determinant function is simply just the determinant function. I simply hard-coded it and wrote it all out. And then as for the actual implementation of it, I simply called that function for every variable matrix, and then replaced the columns, and then used Cramer's rule as anticipated. So overall, nothing too hard. Thank you.